since Spacies is a member of the Ministry of Retro Gaming. Yes, another bloody gaming podcast. Number 11, starring top loader, Cameron Hun, and GameFed. Warning. This video contains some strong language that may offend some viewers.
Since Spacies.
G'day invaders and welcome to Since Spacies, and this is, yes, another bloody gaming podcast, and we have got with us three awesome guests. We've got Cameron Hans. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Filming for a potato cam, I see there. It's coming out a bit blue.
Yep.
We'll do our best.
Sorry about that.
We've also got GameFed. Now, GameFed unfortunately doesn't have any video footage. We've just got a picture of a dog.
Oh, it's a nice looking dog though.
She's a very nice looking dog. Hi guys, how are you?
And we've also got the one and only top loader. How you doing?
Hello, how you going? I'm here, don't worry, everyone, don't panic, I'm here, okay? Elvis has left the building, but I'm still here.
And so we've got the three questions to ask the new guys, starting with Cameron Hans. How you doing,
Hello.
Ed? Yeah, so your very first console and game on it.
Well, my very first console experience was the Sega Mega Drive, and my first game on it was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Yep, and I'd often go to my cousin's place and play Sonic the Hedgehog 2, because I didn't have one back then. And I remember that when we always used to stay overnight, my sister and her cousins would sleep in different rooms, and I'd never have a room. I'd stay up all night playing Sonic 2, Sonic 1, have a lot of fun, and then that was my first console of choice, Sega Mega Drive.
Oh, did you actually get to own it though? Because it sounds like you were borrowing it.
I did borrow it, but I didn't own it. I think my first console I ever owned must have been a bloody Super Nintendo or 64. I can't remember my first ever console that I owned, unfortunately. But one of my best gaming moments was the Mega Drive, and I love Mega Drive.
Okay.
So I'd say 64 or Mega Drive, one or the other, I can't remember.
They're all good.
Yeah.
And your favourite game of all time?
Hands down, my favourite game of all time is Sonic Adventure. I guess it's just because, you know, it's one of the best Sonic games arguably ever made. And, you know, that was back when they were just starting to do these 3D games, and they were actually, like, you know, they had a lot of stuff in them, and, like, you could do things Sonic could normally do, all the open world exploration, stuff like that, and the adventure stages and all those. That was so much fun, all the Chow Gardens. So Sonic Adventure for me is my favourite of all time.
The soundtrack to that, I've actually got that soundtrack stuck in my head constantly.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And especially,
I
think it was Sonic 2 where they really ramped it up a bit with the soundtrack on that game.
Yeah. And plus the music is good as well for those Sonic games.
Is that Mr. Bean in the background?
No, that's just his face. Stop hating on it.
Yeah, it is Mr. Bean.
And what game have you been playing recently?
I've been playing a lot of Sea of Thieves recently. I'm on Sea of Thieves for hours. I love that game so much. I'm online, I'm on Merkle, I just play it all the time. I get up to a lot of silly nonsense in Sea of Thieves.
Has that picked up since it first started? Because there was, you know, what they were calling it, what was it? Sea of...
No Man's Land or something? No Man's Sky?
No Man's Sky, that's right.
Yes,
or No Man's Sea, yeah.
It's definitely, it's definitely picked up a lot since it first came out. There was, like, people complaining that there's a lack of content in the game. So Rare had listened, and they recently added the Hungering Deep, which was a lot of fun. Got a couple of new items from that, and they're working on 2 new story adventure modes for Sea of Thieves later in the year that look really cool, and they've been continuously updating the game and adding a whole bunch of new things in as it goes on. So definitely there is a lot of stuff. If you're still thinking about getting it, wait for a little bit longer until more of the updates come in, but there is definitely a lot of stuff coming in.
Or you could just get the Game Pass if you're into that sort of thing, and just play it straight away without buying it.
And I also recommend it if you just want to have something fun that you can play with your friends locally. That's a great game. Just have a dick around. And
I don't have any friends.
Yeah.
You got us. You got us. Sad.
Oh.
Cheer up, mate. Chin up.
So, GameFed. We can't select you, so we're just going to have to leave it on my face. Wow.
Just have the envious voice, yes.
Oh, great.
So, GameFed, what was your very first console of choice? And I'll just
So the first one I bought was, are we going to include handheld?
We'll break it up then. So your first handheld?
Was the Game Boy Color.
Okay, yep. First game?
Yep.
Nice.
And, Pokemon.
Good
Pokemon
choice.
Blue.
Blue, okay.
For that, but the first console I ever really sunk a lot of time into was the N64. I did start a little bit late on
Okay.
because my parents didn't believe in video games for a very long
I'm
time.
getting that a lot. In fact, on the last podcast, Battle Beast from Carbonites Gaming had the same answer, actually. So, yeah, there's a lot of parents, old school train of thought, where gaming is a waste of time. So,
Yeah.
it is actually a waste of time.
So lucky for me, though, my parents, they loved it. My parents,
same
absolutely, they
here.
loved gaming. So I was in that rare situation where they were the opposite. They actually kind of embraced it a little bit.
Yeah, same here.
I wish that I had parents like that. My parents were just did not understand gaming. They just didn't get it. Didn't even.
My old man was
Sorry.
like a Commodore 64 nut. He had so many games just decked out. He just kept always was getting them, mate, all the time. So we always had the latest ones to play. It was good time to be a child, I guess. When your dad's like that.
So yeah, GameFed. If you could just also go on to tell me what's your favourite game of all time.
Yep. Probably the first game I ever really finished would be Kingdom Hearts on the PlayStation.
I got a copyright strike for playing that. That was actually one of the first videos I did on the channel, and I think Kingdom Hearts 1, because I wanted to really get into it. Because I never played it previous to that, and I figured the channel was a good excuse to get into it, and put the video up and got a copyright strike for the opening sequence. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
They like doing that, don't they, YouTube? They love giving those copyright strikes out, or just for anybody, any excuse to give a copyright strike.
Yeah, copyright strike for a 20-year-old game. That's awesome. Also, what was the last game you played there?
The last game I'm currently playing Jurassic World Evolution.
On PC or
On PlayStation 4.
Oh, okay.
Because again,
what kind of games is that? I really know little about it.
It's sort of, I guess, look at it like a Sims game. It's a Sims tycoon sort of game.
Okay. So you're
got
managing
to create
the park.
your own park. Yeah, you create your own park, and I mean, you can release the dinosaurs if you really wish. So that
what could go wrong?
They've made 5 movies about it. So I mean, what could go wrong?
That kind of actually reminds me of Theme Park World for the PlayStation. Does anyone remember that?
I remember Theme Park.
I used to
Theme Park World.
Yeah, I used to hate playing that when if your hygiene's level wasn't high enough, you'd hear people bleh, bleh, all the time. And Top Loader, even though you've already answered the questions, what have you been playing recently? I'll get you that one.
Okay, well, I might as well just show you. That's what I've been playing last night, the night before that. It's ActRaiser.
Is
my son's been away.
Is that a launch title?
Yeah, it's in that launch window, I'm pretty sure. And I've never really played it before.
Window, that's a new piece of terminology. Oh,
yeah.
It came out around that time.
I'm pretty sure it's the launch. It could have been in that first initial 5, but I'm not sure. But it was definitely in that launch window, the first few months, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But because my son's been on holidays in Australia, on holiday, so he's been at his grandparents' house, and it's hard to play that game when he's around because, he's only 5 years old, so it's hard to explain to him, but when he's not here, I can really dive into it because it's a lot of reading and it's a lot of town building, so it's something he's not really going to be interested in. So when he's away, I get to play.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for me, I've been playing, and I'll put the logo up because I can never remember the name of this silly game, which is so bad. I can't call it silly game. It is awesome. It's Shining Resonance something or rather. It's a new game in the Shining series. Being given a nice little download code by my friends at 5-Star. Thanks,
Whoa.
guys.
First one, buddy.
Yeah, my first one for... Actually, no, I kind of lied. That was my first one from a major publisher.
Yeah.
Raxa Games, which is like a little independent developer. He has sent me a code in the past, and he's only like a local guy, just indie starting out. And I do appreciate that. I still got to get around because he's given me a code for a second game that he sent me, and I still haven't gotten around to putting it on the channel.
I like indie games.
Yeah, it's cool to see what people are coming up with, and I do need to get back and visit that. But no, I've been playing that Shining game, and also been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the Switch a lot. Actually.
How is that?
Trying to grind through that. I kind of have really bad attention span, you know, like with all this stuff in the background. So it's hard.
Worthy sequel?
Sorry?
Is it a worthy sequel to the first one?
Yes, there are some aspects to it that I don't like. Okay, so I won't get into too much details, but for example, if you got little items to pick up as you're running across the main map, you just, in Xenoblade Chronicles 1, you just ran across it and it'll pick it up. But now they have like a stop scene where you stop and dig and then get it and then you move on. It kind of drags down the flow of the game. But the voice acting, it annoyed a lot of people because it's got like just Scottish accents, which people didn't like. And I'm actually kind of for it because you get tired of hearing American accents all the time in video games. So it's good to hear something different.
Especially get Australian accents in there too. We sound pretty good there, mate, on a game.
There is a couple of Aussie accents in there. They come up with all the Australianas like, oh, Stroof, mate, and stuff like that.
You bloody ripper.
Yeah, which we never say.
Never.
No, never. I think we better get into these questions because we have got quite a lot to get through. And we've had quite a few Twitter questions handed in, so that's always pretty cool. And if you are
Hot 100,
if you are watching on the stream, we are on Twitch at the moment. And if you're watching via Twitch, please leave a comment. We'll see if we can get you. I want my first ever live question to come up. That would be cool for the podcast. Anyway, so with Switch just coming out, well, being the last major console to come out, last major platform, I should say. It's had a relatively big impact on the gaming scene, but I want to know how big. Have you guys figured it's changed the landscape somewhat? Has it changed the developers and the way they approach what games they come out with for their development? Has anyone got any takes on this?
I think that the perception on people, the gamers, has changed for Nintendo with the Switch because I felt like last generation people really weren't feeling the Wii U, which is unfortunate because I thought it was actually a pretty decent console. But I think the Switch right now is what the Wii U should have been in the first place because I think Nintendo are really starting to gain steam again with this whole Switch thing. At the moment, I think they've got a bit of a gap year going where they've got a lot of big game developments going on, so we're not really seeing any big hitters. But they obviously got Metroid Prime 4 coming out. But in the overall of it, I think that Nintendo have done well with the Switch. I think just right now, we're just waiting for the next big hits from them.
I think that the Wii U, they did axe that halfway through, and they had probably a lot of plans for the Wii U that were just, reefed out halfway through. And I honestly think that Mario Odyssey was not meant to be for the Switch. I do honestly believe that was meant to be a Wii U game.
Yeah, I believe it.
And Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that was definitely meant to be a Wii U game. Yeah. And I actually hate the fact that it was made to Switch. Reason being is that, I mean, it was a success for Nintendo, and that's awesome. But in making it a Switch game, and then they just sort of ported it to the Wii U. It was kind of weird. It was originally meant to be Wii U, then they refocused it to Switch.
They did that for the Twilight Princess as well, eh?
Yeah, so, yeah, similar. The history repeating itself. And the reason why I hate the Wii U version, well, I don't hate, but I think that this could have been improved. The pad was meant to be a major aspect of that game. Like, you were meant to have the whole aiming thing, which I think you can still do to a degree, but you were meant to also be able to have the map on the screen. And with Xenoblade Chronicles X2, that's one of my one of the things I love the most about that game is
But,
that the map
okay.
is live as you're playing on the screen.
When you say with the aiming thing with the Wii U, how'd you like it in Star Fox Zero?
I still haven't gotten around to playing that yet.
That's one of the biggest gripes with that game with me. It's like because you got the two screens, it's annoying as eh.
I got a feeling I might, be weird enough and naturally like it. So
Maybe. Well, you are weird. I'll give you that much. You are a little bit weird.
says the guy coming on screen with a yellow Pikachu hat. Yeah, awesome.
That's a nice looking Pikachu hat.
Cameron, what do you think about the Switch? Have you got a Switch?
Yes, I do, and I have to agree with both you and Toploader about how the Wii U was a good console, but most of the Switch games felt like Wii U games because I really hate how, although the Switch is actually quite a successful console at the moment, with the Crash Insane Trilogy being one of the best-selling consoles on the Switch, if not the best at all, like the number one at the moment. One thing that really bugs me about the Switch at the moment is all these ports, these Wii U ports being released on the Switch that could have been easily downloadable content for the Wii U games, but since they don't make the Wii U anymore, which is a shame, they've had to re-release the games on the Switch. So it's like paying a big amount of money for a single downloadable content item, like a new character or a new added stage or something. But other than that, there are still some good games that are coming out, like Mario Tennis Aces and Smash is coming out, and there's Toploader said Metroid Prime 4. So there's still a lot of exciting things. So yes, it also has changed Nintendo's perspective on the console gaming market, and they're more open now to work with more publishers than other people did with the Wii U. So I think that they're starting to catch on a lot more.
GameFed, have you got a take on this?
Yeah, so I do own a Switch as well. I do like it as a little console. I did also like the Wii U though, just like you guys said, and it was dropped fairly early and didn't get the recognition it probably deserved. Yes.
Definitely, 100%.
So I think it's a hit and miss because it's not the powerhouse that the other companies have gone for. So they're bringing out your massive big games. Dark Souls was meant to be released on the Switch, and yet it's been pulled back because to a later date because they can't get the graphics and everything to look quite nice on the Switch's lower power. Yeah. So I think it's got a ways to go. If the bigger companies are willing to drop the graphic levels and everything like that and get it to look nice on the Switch, then I think it's got a big chance. But when they made it a lower powerhouse, I think they cut their market a little bit. But I mean, for Nintendo games, like I've always stood by the statement of you buy a Nintendo console to play Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because
I don't know. I think that's been a bit of a cop-out because if you look back at the Super Nintendo days, that was not a factor. Like, it bought a Nintendo because it was trying to go toe-to-toe with Mega Drive, and that was, to me, that the Super Nintendo Mega Drive era is probably the best era of all time.
Pokemon sells a lot. You know, the Pokemon games coming out, they sell a lot of systems. That's why DS, I reckon, was so successful because of Pokemon. I reckon Pokemon, in a lot of aspects, saved Nintendo on quite a few occasions, I would say. So
and they've got Pokemon coming out again for the Switch.
They got two coming out because they got that one's like a remake that's coming out this year, and then they got another main series coming out specifically for Switch. And I can tell you right now, that will be a big deal for the Switch. That will definitely be one big hit. Because look at Pokemon Go, man. That sold so. People love Pokemon. I mean, look, I'm wearing a hat, but I'm just saying,
I had noticed.
People love Pokemon. People love Pokemon.
Yeah,
Brian.
Look, okay. My take on Pokemon is I still buy the Pokemon games, but and I've got Pikachu Nintendo 64 back there. I was kind of too old for it when it came out, and it was kind of like kiddish. I've already said this before on the channel many times.
Solid game, though.
Sorry?
It's a solid game.
Yeah, I understand that, but I don't believe that the earlier Pokemons were quite developed enough. I don't think that they were good in the way of being an RPG replacement for other games that were going around at the time. great for kids though. Great for like 10-year-olds and 15-year-olds coming up through the ranks.
Okay. It could be a gateway game for RPGs too, because me personally, I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan. I think it might get a bit too involved for me. For me, Pokemon, those original games, because you only got to have 4 moves, and you had to like, delete them every time you got an extra move. And for me, that was good.
That's the one thing I hate about it. I like building up a massive amount of moves.
But I love that because it's like a gateway to RPGs for me. It's like it's not like a full-fledged RPG, and it's like kind of like a casual RPG, I guess you could say. And that's actually what drew me to it, because it wasn't too involved.
Yeah. So what I was going to say though is that the Pokemon series lately has really gotten complicated, like really intense. Yeah. So you can still play it as a filthy casual, but it's got enough complexity there to draw in other people that really want to milk those games for all it's worth.
I agree, because
we don't get it here in Australia, but over in Japan, Pokemon is on TV every single morning on they're breaking down the moves and how to counteract different enemies.
I love it.
We just don't get that here in Australia.
It's unfortunate too, because it's so awesome, mate. The Japanese, man, they got it down, I tell you.
I don't know why Channel 10's complaining that they're losing ratings. Get rid of whatever it is they got on the morning and put.
They got Ninja Turtles, 80s Ninja Turtles on there.
Bring back Cheese TV, guys, and they'll get more views.
Yeah, bring back Cheese TV.
Bring back Cheese TV, everyone.
Bring back Cheese TV.
Cartoon Connection, all that. Is that still on?
Oh,
I don't think so
Agro's
anymore.
Cartoon Connection. I'm old enough to remember when Agro was not even on it. It was before then.
Man, you are old.
Anyway, we're losing our overseas people, so we might just move on.
Okay.
But that's another thing I forgot to mention. This is the first Aussie, except for the very first podcast I did. This is the first all-Australian podcast, so Aussie.
Hey!
And it's also state versus state. You didn't mention that. It's state versus state.
As well.
Who cares about that? Queensland, New South Wales, whatever. And by the way, it's Sega, not Sega.
I say Sega.
Yeah, we all say Sega here. In this podcast, we're all saying Sega.
Well,
take that, Theo.
I think we'll agree that the Switch is making an impact, but probably not in ways that most people would think with a gaming company. Do you know what I would really love to see? I was watching, I think it's Res TV, he calls himself, and they were discussing, and I've already done this discussion on the podcast, so you saw it first here on Spacies, and then they're now copying. What if Nintendo bought Sega? Now, my question was, what if Microsoft bought Sega? And I guess it brings up the question, is Sega really up for sale?
But I think Nintendo would be a better fit for Sega, don't you think? Like, if that was
Totally.
Yeah.
But there's nothing stopping Microsoft gobbling it up and doing, and then putting it in the warehouse and not doing anything like they did with Rare.
It's a different Sega though now. It's a different Sega these days. Like, are their games the same as they were back in the day? I mean, Sonic Mania was good, but that wasn't really Sega. That was, they kind of like put that out for someone else.
A bunch of other teams.
Do you know what though? I
Yeah, that's right.
Sega now in 2018 is a much more confident Sega than I've ever seen before.
Good.
Like since they left the console industry. So so from we'll call it post Dreamcast era. Sega's struggled. They've really fumbled their way through trying to work out where they stand, and it's taken them this long to finally be confident as a developer. And they've got now really strong assets behind them. They've got Atlas, and they've got the Yakuza series behind them. They've got Sonic. They keep regurgitating that, but they've also got this old IP sitting behind them that they haven't even touched yet. So
you know what will win my confidence back? Streets of Rage 4. That will bring my confidence back in a big way.
Man,
in a big way.
I would kill for a Streets of Rage 4.
2D animation sprites. All nice.
Do you know the only way that game will work is if you can make it that you could choose between like a new polygonal version, or you can just flick a switch and it goes to 2D.
Like Wonder Boy 3 kind of, where you go for pixels and you can go for like the new animation they have. You know how they brought that remaster out for
the
it?
Dragon's trap.
Yeah,
that was
you
awesome.
can do that. I do it all the time. It's really good going from the 8-bit to the new animation they've done. It's really fun. You can change your music the same way.
Do you know what? If they did the Streets of Rage 4 in that style, I can't see why it wouldn't work. It wouldn't.
It would work. It would completely work.
Totally. And you got people screaming out from the rooftops for a Streets of Rage 4 on YouTube, and it's not just like anyone our age would be all over it. And I think even kids seeing all the fighting and the violence and that, they'll be into it too.
That's always a good thing. Kid violence is always a good thing.
Going to move on to the second question, but I thought I'd just touch on that because I watched that video last night and it really got me thinking, yeah, what if Nintendo did buy Sega? That would be, I don't know, I think watch this space. I can't see why Nintendo wouldn't be thinking about that. They must be having that on their shopping list. It's not like they couldn't afford it. So second question we've got, big announcement just recently is that Google are looking to enter the console fray. I don't know how reliable this story is, but can Google kill Xbox and PlayStation? Do they have what it takes? Now, before you answer that, step back in time. Xbox was once upon a time just Microsoft. They just made Windows, Word and Excel and all the rest of it. Next thing you know, they're dumping a console onto the market and it's sold in spades. So not initially, but the 360. But the 360 really I think Google's the Xbox was like the original Xbox was like a trial run. Let's see how this works. Let's get this all up and running. And then the next console was like, right, we've got everything all sorted out. Let's do this. Do you think Google has what it takes?
Are they like thinking
Disney.
GameFed, we'll go with you. Sorry.
Are they thinking like Steam, like the Steam box, because that can do fantastic?
Well,
or are they thinking like a full-blown?
No one knows really.
PlayStation,
no one really
Xbox.
knows at this point. So we'll speculate away here. If they came up with a box with the word Google on it, Google Games or whatever it's going to be, that's going to be the lamest name by the way. But
the Google box.
No, not Google box, please. Was it? Someone said that it was going to be called the Yeti.
Yeah, but I was reading before, it said there's code name Yeti, so whether that's the actual name for it, but they'll say Yeti.
A Yeti. So I don't know if that can be something that they'll be allowed to do. They'll just buy the company.
Just Yeti though, not Blue Yeti.
Just buy it out,
yeah. But they said they're going to buy.
The name.
They said they're going to look at buying actual like AAA developers, so they can't develop for anybody else. I don't know how true that actually is, but that's what I was reading.
AAA is not good enough anymore. The Microsoft and Xbox came up with quadruple A now. That's the new standard.
Quadruple A?
Quadruple A. Yeah. So with the shake-up with the last E3, Microsoft announced that they're setting up new quadruple A studios, whatever that means. I guess what we're trying to, I think what we're trying to say here is that video game development is going through a bit of a shake-up at the moment. They're reassessing how they approach video games, and I think they're trying to go more along the Hollywood line of having set studios that do nothing but develop games on a mass scale. So maybe that's what Microsoft are doing. Do you think Google will have the resources to be able to take them on and well, they'll just buy out studios that they see? I don't think
they've got the money. Just turn around and go, here's a mill, you now make games for us. Or more than a mill, but, you know. $1 million!
A millie! We got a millie for you. But I wouldn't underestimate Google at all. I mean, look what they've done with YouTube. Yeah. Like, they just like completely put bells and whistles on everything, haven't they?
Well, I also suggested that maybe Disney might be in a position to come up with their own console. There's a few other people that could come up with their own console.
Disney own the world right now.
Yeah, and you've also got EA. They could develop their own console. I don't know why they had not done it until now.
We don't want too many consoles, though. We don't want like consoles coming left and right like in the early 80s.
But what I'm thinking,
I mean, if EA create a console, won't we just get it bit by bit because we'll have to actually buy? Like, you know,
DLC.
DLC. Oh, here's your console, but actually you need to buy the motherboard in a separate thing. Oh no, hey, loot box.
DLC, it's in the game.
No, it's not in the game. You got to download it.
And then it's in the game. And then when you get the game, then it's in the game. Then you got to pay for it again. Once you get the game, you got to buy the DLC, but it's already on the disc in the game.
Then we've got the
That's their
Atari
game.
one coming out and everything, and no one knows what it is yet. So,
Well, we are speculating. This is early days. I'm just trying to think, though, that it's not just Google that would be on the radar. There must be other companies that have surely looked at gaming industry and thought, can we do this? Have we got what it takes to take on these existing platforms? There's not
Three
much
big
room.
boys.
Well, you got two consoles. You got the Xbox and the PlayStation 4. We won't talk about the Switch because that's a totally different beast for now. The Xbox and the PlayStation are basically just the same thing. They're not really doing anything totally different. PlayStation has been doing it with more power. Then the Xbox One X came out. It's got more power. It's just there's nothing differentiating one to the other really when you think about it. And that's I hate that. I think it's kind of sad. That's why I like the Mega Drive Super Nintendo days, because if you had both platforms,
So different.
you had a huge range of different stuff available to you.
didn't need the internet.
Sorry?
Even the games on there that were the same were different. Like the Latin
And
game.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
go
you-
Cameron.
And you didn't need the internet for anything back then.
No. No, that's right. But now you do. For a lot of games, you've got to have like an internet connection for like, you know, for just about anything. And like, you know, Fortnite, that's basically an online game, isn't it? Like, you know, you're playing Battlefield, like, Battleground standards with everyone in the world, so you got to have an internet connection.
Yeah.
Can you play it in
And
10
that
years'
actually
time?
annoys me. That annoys me from the old days where you could
That's right.
buy your disc,
Plug it in.
pop it in, done.
So, in 10 years' time, can I ask, in 10 years'
Let's
time,
play a game.
if you like Fortnite still in 10 years' time, if you want to go back and say, oh, I want to go play Fortnite for a couple of rounds, what are you going to do? You can't play it. It's done.
Yeah.
Download
That's done.
150 worth the gig.
It's the grand
Because
scheme
there's
of
that many
things.
updates.
They just keep it coming. It's the grand scheme of things. They don't see it. That's where it just keeps coming. Like, you know, you can't
Yeah.
play the old version. You got to get the new one.
We had no updates back then or anything like that anyway, so
No.
it was just what you got was just
Although,
there and fun.
although some
What
games
was on
really
the
didn't.
disc?
Yeah.
Some games did need a good patch show, but yeah, I still prefer
Yeah.
it that way.
Well, it's funny,
Some-
like Dreamcast era, there was different versions of Sonic Adventure that were released to the public, and so, for example, the very first Sonic Adventures, it had bugs in it. Wow, there's a shock. And then when it was later released, to the US, those patches got put into that version, and then they
Yep.
re-released it in Japan with the new patch in it. So.
But you know, Shinobi, on the original Shinobi, it's got like 4 different versions.
Yeah.
Because they had
There's a
Spider-Man
version
and all that. So they,
1.1, 1.2, and the original
That's
one is
right.
the one that I'd most be certainly going for because it's got.
I've actually got that version.
Yeah, it's got Godzilla, it's got Batman, it's got Spider-Man, Terminator. They had to change the Terminator. No, was it? No, there was a Rambo dude with a gun. They had to change him out and make it not look so much like Rambo. And
Even in the last version, they changed the dude on the screen because that guy was based off some Japanese famous person who was a ninja, and they actually changed the title screen on the very last version where it brought out for the Wii.
I
You know,
have
the
not
Virtual Console.
I have not seen that. I do have
Yeah,
to look that up.
yeah, they did, yeah.
So what? They didn't have the permission to take that guy's face?
They,
Like,
they slightly changed. They just slightly changed it. If you watched it, yeah.
what they gave him a haircut or?
I think that for his eyes, I don't know exactly what it is, but it is slightly different. Like, look it up, the Wii VC version. The Wii VC
Man, I
version.
hope they didn't change it too much because that title screen was one of my most
No.
favourite memories of all time. On the
He still
Mega
does
Drive.
the actions, but it's just his face looks slightly off.
The
Yeah.
lightning, the ninja stars going past, and then he jumps down. It was like for a system that was so limited back then, that they really milked it for all they could.
That's a brilliant game. I love that game, that original Shinobi game.
I know a lot of people bagged me up for my Shinobi free play Let's Play because I was saying that it's not as good. I don't think it's as good as the
That's the
original
third one.
Revenge of Shinobi. I got a lot of bad comments.
That's
Sorry,
the third
what
one.
was
That's the third one.
that? What's that? What, you showed it,
Oh,
but I didn't have it.
Shinobi,
on
I got the
screen,
third one here. It's the third one. That's my favourite
It's a
Mega
good
Drive
game.
Yeah.
I just think that Revenge of Shinobi was a better game.
Yeah.
That's my
I like them both. But I like that one the best.
I think when that came out, I was moved on to the new consoles at that time. It came out really late in the console lifespan. Speaking of old games, How long do you think we'll be playing games till? So...
I have an answer. I have a specific answer for this. I'll let everyone else answer.
The reason why I'm asking this is because one of the main reasons why I wanted to get GameFed onto this podcast is that she had a really good topic on her channel about gaming being specifically made for older people. So there's a whole market, a whole new market there that hasn't been touched, and that is gamers that are getting old, like myself. So when you get older, you haven't got the reaction time. Like I play Super Mario World now. I remember really, what was it that Grumpy Retro Gamer say? Rinsing those levels. And now it's rinsing me. I'm the one getting wrecked. So I'm wondering, how long do you think you can keep up gaming for? And at what point do you think you'll put the controller down and just watch? Anyone got a suggestion?
Well, I have a specific answer, but I'll let everyone else answer first.
I'll always be gaming. Like, I always never stop. I like playing the games.
Yeah, but you're a young whippersnapper. You say that now. But as you...
Even, I don't... Yeah.
Like, the other night I went to go put the Xbox One on, and I can't see the text. I have to put glasses on to be able to see the finer text now. I'm breaking down as a human being. Huh?
Need a bigger TV.
It's 50 inch.
Yeah.
That's a bit of an issue.
Sit closer.
Yeah, I know. No, I wear the glasses. It fixes the problem. But I'm just using that as a point to show that.
Yeah.
As you're getting on a bit, what was it? John Talbot said, as you're getting on a bit, you start to lose the reflexes. You start to lose the sight. Is it that the gaming developers going to make games that are still going to be interesting to play, but keeping the older gamers in mind? Do you have an answer for that, GameFed? Because you did touch on this subject in great detail.
Replenish, and I didn't really get to a definitive answer, but we sort of thought that, I guess, the older you get, your reaction time does fade. So we were more thinking probably like your quick RPG, sort of similar things like the Telltale series are ideal, or if you have got the time to sink in, like you see a lot of older gamers playing Skyrim that are hours upon hours upon hours. So I guess depending on the time that they have available, like I'm exceedingly time short, so I try to play quick games at the moment, but not so much Twitch shooters because I don't have the time and energy to keep that up.
The energy.
Yeah.
And some of those games,
the patience, I guess.
No,
those young kids yelling at me.
It's nice to have energy, isn't it, eh? It's nice to have energy.
Yeah, it's funny coming from you. You must be like drowning in Red Bull.
I don't drink Red Bull at all. I don't really go for energy drinks at all.
I don't believe you, but anyway.
You don't believe me? You gotta take my word for it. What's Cameron's answer?
Yeah.
Pretty much always be gaming. I don't care how old I get and if I can't move my hands. I still like.
If I can't move my hands.
if you snap your fingers off or something, I don't care. I'll still try something like that. That's what like sometimes the Wii's for and everything. Is like anyone could just use it, even if they can't. But sometimes it's good for older people to keep growing up and play games. So I'll never stop. I don't care how old you get. It's always fun. It's something that I always enjoy. I know sometimes I had been good at games when I was younger, and then play some of those games again, and like as other people were saying, not as good as they were back then. But keep practicing.
Can you think of any examples of those games? Which ones you're talking about?
Diddy Kong Racing, for sure. I used to be the best expert at that game. I used to beat that game in like 5 times in a week. I used to beat that game so many times. And then I used to know all the secrets. I used to know all the shortcuts. That's back when I was like 8 years old. And I remember when I got my 64 out. I found it in the garage ages ago, and I put it back on and I started playing it again. I was like, I used to be so good at this game. Why do I suck now? So I had to keep playing it to get better again. But that does happen. and it does catch up to you if you haven't played the
So you know that expression, get good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you
good.
get
I hate
older,
that.
it's...
I hate it.
But when you get older, it was good.
Yeah, that's good.
Get good, yeah. So, now my answer for this is very specific because I actually mentioned this. I don't want to plug myself, but you know I'm going to plug myself here. But I was actually in Retro Gamer, issue 175, and I
Are
actually...
you in that?
Yeah, one page...
Holy shit,
page
hang
14.
on.
Yeah, page 14. Bring it up.
You had that the whole time.
It's the Sonic 2 issue with the calendar. It's a really good issue.
I've got it.
Really?
Okay, open up the page 14, and I'll quote myself here. I'll quote myself here.
God.
I'll quote myself to relative to your question right here, okay? Now, this is talking about Super Mario World. My
Holy
favorite...
shit, there he is. Look at the smug bastard. The Super NES hunter.
Okay, I was going to quote myself. Now, this is talking about Super Mario World.
Toddy.
Yeah, mate, Toddy. Yeah, okay, yeah, all the jokes aside. Okay, so this is talking about Super Mario World. Now, this is very relative to the question we got here.
Okay.
It's fun, it's bright, and it has made such an impact on my life, but I've asked my wife to have this game at my funeral clenched in my hand as they lower me into the ground. That's how long I'll be gaming
till
for.
the day I die.
To the day I damn die. That's how long I'll be gaming
Yeah.
for.
So, guys,
I said-
My answer as well.
if you are watching this and you're trying to keep a track on what's going on, Retro Gaming Magazine, Retro Gamer Magazine, trying to find the issue number.
It's 175.
175, and it's got Sonic 2. Just show you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it came with a calendar and a big. But that was part of the reason why I bought it. But I wanted to read out on the development of Sonic 2. It was a good read, and I've got that too. And I skimmed past that my mate was in here, and I didn't even notice it.
How did you miss me? How did you miss me? Tell me, how did you miss me?
I saw the
What's wrong with
word.
you?
I saw the word Super Nintendo, and I just went.
Yeah,
nah.
you just kept going. You saw the Super NES. You're like, nah, that's not Mega Drive. Oh yeah, if I had a big Mega Drive collection. Oh yeah, be right into that.
Hang on, did you pay $400 for The Legend of Zelda?
Yeah, but that's the most I've ever played for a game, and it's boxed and it's sealed. But that's the most. That's Australian dollars, so that's the price of 4 brand new games. If you're international, listening to this.
Tetris. I could play Tetris anytime, any place, anywhere. So luckily, is that your quote?
They changed that one. I think they changed it a little bit, but it's pretty much my quote. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay. No, that's kudos to you, man. Getting in that. I would like to get anyone watching that knows contacts at Retro Gamer. I'd love to be on there one day. All right. Well, you sidetracked the conversation there.
I didn't mean to. I tend to do that a lot. I apologize. I apologize in advance. I tend to do that. I do apologize. And I gotta look at this. I gotta look at the webcam. I keep looking in the corner here.
Yeah, I'll keep doing
I
the same
forgot to
thing.
put up. Hang on, when I was showing it.
I gotta look at the webcam. I keep
looking.
looking.
That's the issue there. Sorry, didn't have the camera on. So yeah, Sonic 2 Retro Gamer. It's a good read, but you've got also Top Loader in there.
So it's now a better read.
Yeah. Okay. Toddy. Okay.
You're like you can call me, everyone calls me Toddy. All my friends call me Toddy. So for now on, you're allowed to call me Toddy because I like you, Spacies. You're not a bad guy. I don't mind you.
All right. So
And Cameron here, he's cool. And Reed.
Well, we'll see if you like me after my next question. So,
Sealed games, right?
Just one more thing. I guess the thing is with all the development with getting people with disabilities to play games, we are probably going to be able to play them for much longer because game controllers are going to change massively.
Now, I
So that's
remember
probably something
watching
to
your
look forward to.
podcast, and you were struggling, and I was killing myself watching that podcast because you were trying to think of the name of the people that came up
Yeah.
with that controller, and I'm screaming at my phone because I was watching it on my mobile, and I was screaming, going, "It's the Xbox controller! Come on!" And you were
Yeah.
like, "It was a big one. It was a pretty big name of company, but I can't remember." Anyway.
Yeah.
So Xbox came up with a controller
Yeah.
specifically designed for people with disabilities, and it is such a cool thing to see. I'm surprised it's taken so well. Nintendo have touched on this. They came up with a controller that was operated with a mouth back in the 80s, I think it was. But to see a company revisit that whole concept is really awesome, because there's you've got different category of people who have got disabilities. You've got some that have been disabled their whole life, and they've looked on and figured, wow, that would be really cool to play video games, but I can't. They don't. Anyway, so they can't operate the controllers the way we do. So you've got those people, and then you've got other people who probably have been handicapped as a result of an accident or something along those lines. Well, and then all of a sudden their gaming life just stops, and that's so sad. They're the ones I kind of feel sorry for them, because they know what it was like to game, and then all of a sudden have it taken away from them. So this controller is. Does anyone else here know of the one I'm talking about?
No.
I have seen it now. Yeah, it was in Game Informant magazine this month.
The best way to describe it is it looks like a DJ turntable.
Yeah.
It looks really cool, and it's totally modifiable. You can change it, because not everyone's disabilities are the same. So it's totally modifiable, and hats off to Xbox to come up with such an awesome concept.
If you ever lose your hand or something, I mean, like, your controller's 2 hands. I mean, you can't game.
Did you hate hands? I thought you said hair.
No, head. I'm losing both. I'm getting old with my hands, but my hands are good for now. My hair's going. When you get older, you tend to lose it where you want it, but grow it where you really don't want it to grow.
All right, moving right along. Well, no, thanks for. I was trying to work out a way to bring that into the conversation about that controller, but thanks for that, GameFed, for bringing that up.
That's all right.
But on to my next question. Nintendo fans filthy casual. Now, does anyone know where I'm going with this?
Yeah, possibly. You think that
maybe
most Nintendos maybe just like people just want to play it like every now and then, not so much hardcore. Like people on the Sony and Xbox pretty much maybe are a little bit more hardcore than playing it more often than what maybe Nintendo crowd are. I don't know. Is that what you mean?
So just recently, within the last week or so, Nintendo made headlines because the stocks went down quite significantly recently, and people are speculating as to why it is. Now, I don't really see alarm bells for Nintendo at all. The reason why they have got not much content coming out is because the Switch was rushed. It was pushed forward as a result of the declining sales of the Wii U. So when you rush out a console like that, all your plans have to get changed and moved around. So all these games that they had planned originally for the Wii U got aborted because that platform didn't sell well. And then now they're trying to work out, all these companies are trying to work out the best way to move it over to the Switch, and that takes time. These games that are coming out now, you've got your sport brats sitting at home going, oh, they're not releasing games and they're not coming out often enough. These things take ages to develop. We're talking a year and a half, 2 years on average for most games now. So you can't just release a new console and expect all guns blaring out on day one. The fact that the Switch came out with Breath of the Wild was a Wii U game. It's just sort of luck and good planning involved.
They take like 5 years, Zelda games, don't they? Like Zelda games, 5 years.
So the only reason why they were able to get that out onto the Switch was because they were able to port it. That's the only way that they were able to get that onto that system. And it just happened to be that Breath of the Wild was going to be an awesome Wii U game, so the fact that it was portable just made it even better. What I'm trying to get at here is that people are very impatient with Nintendo, and they needn't be, but the reason why I bring up this question with the filthy casuals is that the new Doom came out, and also Wolfenstein 2, and the sales have been very disappointing, and yet the system is selling well. So it's a lot of people that are buying Switch are not buying these games up, and they're not the sales.
Do you know the reason why I didn't buy Doom on the Switch? Because you had to download half the game anyway, and I actually like the cartridge, so just in case I want to play it later on or something happens, like if you've got to download something, I feel like you have to always download that part of the game. That's the main reason why I actually didn't buy Doom on the Switch.
Yeah, but when you're playing it on the Xbox or the PlayStation 4 on PC, you're still downloading.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's nothing really different there.
But like with the Switch, I like the cartridges, just the full game to be on the cartridge, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I just like games, in the overall, when I'm looking at games, I like to have, like with these cartridge games, I like to have them on the cartridge. So if they're bringing out a cartridge game, I really, don't want to download half the game for that cartridge game, because I really like cartridge games, like the DS games and all that kind of thing, if you know what I mean.
You like the fact that the game that you buy is in that box. It's in
Yeah,
there. You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Specifically for that version of the game. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, Tony Hawk's, the latest Tony Hawk didn't really please you.
I don't play Tony Hawk games. I played the first one on the PlayStation 1. The first one was really good, and I haven't played one since.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
The reason why I brought that up, and that's the one that we keep mentioning on the podcast, is that the game was not on the disc. It was the disc itself was essentially a key, an unlocked code.
Okay,
and you
I got you now.
And then you download 40.
I hate that.
Yeah, it was shite.
I hate that. That's like the worst thing.
So
That's why you get the mod.
So back to my question, I was just wanting to know, do Nintendo players or gamers or fanboys have it in their heart to pick up and play games that are not being made by Nintendo on a Switch platform?
Interesting. Let Cameron answer this one. He needs to get in there.
Yeah, I would say yes. I am proudly filthy casual. I do play non-Nintendo games on my Switch or on my Wii U. Like I've got Ukulele on the Switch. I've got Sonic games on the Switch. Got a whole bunch of random indie games on the Switch that I check out. I know there are problems with the games coming out on the Switch not selling well, probably because they've these ports, because they've already been on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One already. Other people who own those consoles might already have that. So that's a little bit of a problem as to why some of those ports might not sell so well. But yes, I am actually a filthy casual myself. As a Nintendo fan, I don't mind. I don't mind breaking barrier.
So, yeah, because for years Nintendo have been getting bashed because they're not getting third-party support.
Yeah.
Everyone keeps saying it, but...
People lie to happen in video games.
Even them people who say Nintendo aren't getting third-party support, I just show them Mario Party 3 came out in 2000, so...
That was a big issue for the Wii at the time. They're always going on about third-party support, but I always felt there was good third-party support. That Mad World game was like kind of it wasn't my type of game, but everyone was like, that was a big deal at the time. That was third-party and a bit of a
gruesome game. There was a whole lot of third-party games.
Yeah, everyone said that about the Wii, and I thought the Wii had a decent amount of third-party support.
There's a massive library as well. Such a massive library. It wasn't all just Nintendo.
They say it was a shovelware console, but look at PS2.
Thank you. I was just about to jump in and say that. The Wii...
PS2 had 2,000 games. Yeah. You're saying there's no shovelware in the PS2? Tell me that. Really? The most popular system is always going to have the most shovelware. That's just the nature of it.
PlayStation 2's not a system that I rate highly, personally.
No, me neither, man. And everyone goes on about it. I know it's the most sold console, but actually, there are good games. I'm not saying there's not good games on it. I'm just saying that I don't think it's the best console ever to come out. A lot of people say that, and I personally do not believe that at all.
It was a glorified DVD player that happened to have a half-decent console within it.
Do you remember on Big Brother, an Australian version of Big Brother, you were always giving out the PS2s, and they were saying, when they sold the PS2 for the advertising on Big Brother, they were saying, it plays DVDs and games. It's like, okay, well...
major thing.
Just a DVD.
Yeah, and the PS3 was the same, like the Blu-ray, it plays Blu-rays. It's like, I just want to play games. That's all I do. I just want to play games. I don't give a crap about all this media attention that they do, like downloading movies, whatever. I don't care about that. I just want to play games. That's all I want to do.
That's one thing that's good about the Switch is it's just basically meant as a gaming console. People are like, put Netflix on it, put the internet on it, put something on it.
Exactly.
No, we just want it to be focused on a gaming console, and
that's what I like about Nintendo. They stick to their guns. They stick to their guns, and they are about the gaming, and just overall things. That's what I like about Nintendo, the modern Nintendo. They really are about the gaming. So with this Google thing you were talking about before, I'm not too worried about Nintendo because they just do their own thing anyway.
Absolutely, I agree.
No comment there, GameFed?
I would have to say I'm with Cameron. I'm a filthy Nintendo casual.
A filthy
as
Nintendo
well.
casual, okay.
I'm a Nintendo casual. I pick it up and play it occasionally. Like I'll play the indie titles I haven't bought any big third-party games on it, and I think that's because of they've had, besides Sonic, but I haven't bought a lot of them because, like Wolfenstein and all that came out 6 months ago, and now it's on the Switch. Like, if I wanted to play Wolfenstein, I would have put it on the PlayStation 4.
Is Mario Rapids a third-party game? Would you class it? It was Ubisoft, so that's third-party, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just happens to
I
have
guess,
Mario
yeah.
in it. Yeah, that's another one.
Nintendo weren't involved.
I personally would like to see some big third-party games be successful on the Switch to change the dynamics of the Nintendo brand, because you can't just keep relying on Nintendo to come out and save their platform. You do need other other gaming developers to be on there and scoring runs on their system. It's not happening at the moment, unfortunately. So yeah, I had to comment on that.
I also feel that the younger gamers, they don't know what it's like to have to wait so long between titles these days.
Yeah. True bad.
Like, they don't understand that, like, you know, it would be, this game's coming out and awesome, I'm going to wait for that game. And it will come out late then, and that's it.
Yeah, it's the whole generation, isn't it? It's like, I want it now, in a click of a finger generation.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, like, we didn't know what games were coming out. They came out on the shelf, and it's like, that's a new game.
We
like
had
magazines, magazines, I guess, but you know what I mean?
We had no internet or E3, it's online, on live broadcasts or anything back then. We got,
it was just
from magazines. Or
I didn't even have a computer.
But you do now.
I did.
Look who's living large. Look who's living large.
Yeah, I had the Sega SC3000 computer, and that was my main rig for a long time. And I had, the day that I managed to hook that up to a printer and get the printer doing something was like, oh my god, this is so cool. It's like
tell everybody how you threw the box out for it.
Sorry, what was that?
Tell everybody how you threw the box out for
I've
it.
already done that video. I did a video with Top Hat Gaming Man about biggest gaming regrets, and that was on that video. Yeah, his gaming regret was his mum throwing out his Amstrad, and she threw it out on the skip, and all these, what did he call it, Middle Eastern gypsies came along and stole it.
That'd been a sight to see. No, that's mine.
So I've got 3 questions here from the Twitter sphere. I probably had more, but I do apologise if I missed any, because we'll be getting bombarded with questions towards the end. And I'm just going to double check. No Twitch questions. Oh, well, there's a shame. Anyway. So, the first question comes from Game Telford. This is Game as in the game store. Now, they have no longer... Well, they went bankrupt here in Australia, but they're still going strong in the UK. And before I read this question out, a big shout out to Steve at Game in Telford. And I have to mention that I am so jealous of his... Is it 14-karat gold Xbox that he just won, which is only one of 8 of its kind in the world. Dude, that's just epic. So it's very shiny. He said you keep the shiny ones.
Yep. That sounds awesome.
So the question is, I have never clicked with Final Fantasy series. I just didn't get it. So what classic games or game series leaves you scratching your head?
Well, for me, it's Gran Turismo. I just don't get into sim racing games. I'm more of an arcade Daytona type guy. Just get in, you got the car, you drive your car to the end of the racetrack, and that's it. I hate finding out what pressure tyres my ass. Yeah, I love Crazy Taxi. I just don't want to like know how much pressure's in my tyres and like all that crap. I just want to play the game. Get in there, bang, get to the finish line, it's done. Put up the flag, we're over. Next race.
Next.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Game Fed.
It'd have to be sports games as well. I just don't get them.
Don't you diss on
no
hockey.
Fun.
Don't you diss on NHL.
Yeah, no, I can't. Yay, sports ball, but no, I can't do it. Just have not played any of the FIFAs. Have not played any of the AFL, NRL, basketball, nothing. Just can't.
Yeah, I know.
Don't see the appeal.
What about what do they do? Just change the roster every year? Like, I don't personally know, so if anyone actually does know...
You've done this rant before.
I know, but it gets me every time. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I like playing sports, don't get me wrong, but it's just like playing actual games of sports is completely different. I mean, NBA Jam, because that's more arcadey, so you can like push and shove. I like that element of it, but actually playing like a simulated soccer game or basketball game or whatever just doesn't really appeal to me that much.
I love my NHL series though, because just when you pull off moves and you get an epic goal scored, it is such a good feeling in that game in particular, because it's so fast paced. And it was actually because of EA that I actually got into ice hockey and started following it. So,
Cameron got an answer here?
I do. I have to agree with the original poster of this question. I have to say, Final Fantasy never got to me at all. I never understood why it was so popular. I had a whole bunch of Final Fantasy games. I tried to play them, and I just didn't get it, and I just didn't, I wasn't really feeling it. And I don't understand when people are like, oh, Final Fantasy VII is the greatest game in the world.
See, that's because you're not an emo boy with daddy issues. That generally helps to understand the plots.
Do you like Chrono Trigger though?
Absolutely. I've got Chrono Trigger actually for this as well, like you. I like Chrono Trigger a lot. I think Chrono Trigger is way better, thousands times better than Final Fantasy.
I thought it was I bought it in 2003 thinking it was like a Dragon Ball Z game because I saw it on the Australian eBay because I wasn't buying international then, and I had no idea it was. But I was like, this guy looks like Goku, so I just bought it thinking it was like a Dragon Ball Z game. And it basically ended up being like one of the best Super Nintendo games available.
Bought the game because he figured it looked like a Dragon Ball Z character.
True, that's true, that's 100%. And obviously the guy, Akira Toriyama, did the animation, so I wasn't half wrong, but I wasn't half right either.
That's better than Final Fantasy. I love Chrono Trigger.
Alright, so that was a question there from Game at Telford. Next one. El Gamer Astral, a patron of Sin Spacies. Thanks, matey. We have got here... Well, okay, I had to cut this down because this question would take an hour to answer. I had to cut it down.
I like hour-long questions and answers. Yeah. I'm good for that. Just keep me going. Keep the cameras rolling.
The question originally was top 10 shoot-em-ups of all time for each podcast participant. No. Give me
I'm not doing
three.
top 10.
No, three.
That's okay. I'm not a shoot-em-ups fan anyway. But actually, I don't mind them. So I'm not like right into it, but these are the games that really have appealed to me. Now, there's a Capcom series called... Do you remember 1942, the old 1942 games?
Yeah.
Well, this one's called 19XX.
Yeah, I know the one.
Like, yep. It's X. I love it. I play it on my arcade cab all the time. I absolutely love it. So, 19XX. So Space Megaforce on the Super Nintendo Power is called Super Elise, and I've got that.
Yep.
I like that one, and my third choice would be Cosmic Cop, which is a horror cop. It's a good game. It's a horizontal shoot 'em up, and try it out. It's a really good game. So Cosmic Cop's my third answer.
Does he pull people over for breath testing, or?
No, you shoot lots of people though. You shoot lots of other ships. So, hence the shoot 'em up genre.
GameFed, are you into the shoot 'em ups?
Not so much, but there are a couple I can think of. So, Alien Storm on the Sega.
Alien Storm.
Yeah,
not really
I think it's called Alien Storm.
Not traditional.
Not really.
Though,
no. Okay.
Like little airplanes shooting stuff. Gallagher or something.
Do you say Gallagher?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's like a shoot 'em up. That's the original like
no,
Space
your pronunciation. I've always said Gallagher.
I just say it how I see it. I say it how I see it, Spacies. It's like Smash Bros. I see Smash Bros, so I say bros.
There's a dot at the end of that. We're going to get into that again. Sorry, GameFed.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Okay. Cameron?
I don't normally play shoot 'em ups, but there's only like one shoot 'em up game. I don't care if you say that's not a shoot 'em up game. I'll say it anyway as my favorite shoot 'em up game, which is the original Jetpack.
Oh, Jetpack. That's not.
That's a shoot 'em up game. It is.
Wait.
It is. You have to. It is a shoot 'em up.
Wait a minute. Let's have a look here.
Hang on, what game
I
did
have
you
respect from you. Jetpack.
I think it's a shoot 'em up game.
Hang on,
can
you show that again? Can you show? Geez, you quick.
It's quick, yeah. It is a shoot 'em up game.
Oh, Rare?
Yeah. That was like the original one.
Yeah, I
First
played
one.
it. I've
This is
actually
on the
played
Spectrum,
it.
this one.
And no, it's
freaking
not a shoot 'em
awesome.
up, but nice try.
At least that's. I don't normally play shoot 'em up.
See, we
so well.
tried, and you shut us
Yeah.
down.
You gotta do your research before you do this podcast, people. Research! Look, pen and
Alright.
paper. Pen and paper.
My free to answer that question, Gyrus, which is on the Mega Drive. That was an awesome shoot 'em up. Thunder Force 4 for the Mega Drive again, and another Mega Drive. We're going to do the hat trick. Musha released.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And again,
That's
I
rare
say it
too.
every time I mention that game. That's features the intro for my channel features music from that game, and also the guy that composed that music is a subscriber to here at Sin Spacies. So
Wow, excellent.
Nice.
That's an expensive game now, too. The Japanese one's cheaper, though, isn't it?
yeah, I did see it in the wild. I didn't have a spare $240 on me.
Yeah, okay. But you would have if you did?
When I walked into that Super Potato store and I saw it there, $240. I'll put the picture up. I was in the middle of carrying and dragging around the GameCube that I had just bought, which was a brand new GameCube in its box for $70.
That's cool.
Which was so awesome. But yeah, Musha Release is my favourite shoot 'em up of all time, and I just love that game. So we're not big shoot 'em up fans here. Disappointing.
No.
Okay, moving right along. We have one more question. This is from Chips and Sticks. I love the names. So here's my question: what popular game franchise would you like to see remastered that actually has a chance of being done on the Switch?
Now, we've already talked about this.
Yes,
you
we
know
did.
my answer.
We did.
You know my answer.
Mine as well.
Okay, so Streets of Rage 4, what did Cameron have?
I had Echo the Dolphin.
Okay, 100%.
Yeah.
Echo the Porpoise. Okay.
Hey, the Mega CD of that was pretty good too with the change of music. I liked how they
Yeah.
changed that, eh?
Very, very
Echo's the best.
hippie.
I think Streets of Rage 4 would do really well though. I think it's just, people like beat 'em ups, I think like beating up stuff, and it just resonates with old games especially, and I feel like Streets of Rage 3 kind of like, it was okay, but it could have been better. The Japanese version was slightly easier than the rest of what the rest of us got. But I think Streets of Rage 4 could really resonate in this modern age, I think, with a remaster. Or you know what I mean? Like a new version of it, I mean.
I have two answers for this one. I would like a sequel, not a remaster, but a sequel to Earthbound. So it would be Mother 4, I guess you would call it. I would like to see Nintendo revisit that series.
Good luck with that.
No, it's not going to happen.
Good luck.
They have done a game though, and I'm sorry I don't know the name. I'll look it up and put it in the pictures. From the same graphic designers and same people that were behind Mother or Earthbound on the Super Nintendo, they have come out with another RPG just recently for the Switch. So I guess I'm kind of getting my wish there with that. So
Well, they're doing, Tatsuya, they just announced they're doing Ninja Warriors remaster or a remake or something. You know, Tadia, you know the game Ninja Warriors? It's a good game, trust me. It's a on the Super NES it was called Ninja Warriors Again or something, and the Japanese version was called that. It's actually it's a rare game, but it's a really good side-scrolling beat 'em up with ninjas. They're like ninja robots, and they you just walk along the screen, beating up.
90s, early 90s game.
Yeah, it's like it's on the Super Nintendo, but in the arcade it had 3 big screens, so the Super Nintendo version was actually different, and it's kind of slower. The Super Nintendo version was kind of like a Streets of Rage with ninjas, basically. And they're remastering it this year or next year or something. Tatsuya.
And I do have one other game to answer that question. I would love a Golden Axe for a proper sequel, not a one-on-one beat 'em up, not as you know how they always do this with their IP, Sega. They always get it and then they'll say, "Oh, what if we get Golden Axe and I don't know, turn it into a puzzle game?" or we'll have it and we'll make it
Puyo.
No, I just want a straight up sequel, no messing around, beefed up graphics, whatever. Golden Axe 4. I would love that. And they were doing that. I've mentioned it on the podcast before that Sega of Australia were actually in the middle of producing Golden Axe 4 and it got canned halfway.
Wow.
So.
But Sonic Mania was kind of like a remaster or a remake, and that did so well. I mean, surely that's a good sign for Sega that people like that nostalgia, remade, remastered, or a new version of.
But do you know why that worked? Do you know why Sonic Mania worked where Sonic Forces kind of fell off?
Because Sonic Forces was more like
Mania was done by people who are really
Bigger
passionate
fans.
about it. They're not on a payroll. They did it because they loved the game and they thought, I can do this. And
do you remember Sonic 4?
Whitehead,
Yeah.
what's his name? Whitehead, the
Chris
Aussie
Whitehead.
Chris Whitehead.
Christian Whitehead.
Christian Whitehead. Like, you can tell that he's doing it because he loves the original IP. So that's the reason why it worked. Where I just get the feeling that these people working for Sega in Japan, they're doing it because it's a JOB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
True.
although I enjoyed Forces, it was like a bit rushed.
So GameFed.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I agree. I thought of an answer for the previous question, which is GoldenEye. Does that count?
No,
No.
that's a first person shooter. That's
A little plain
Yeah,
shooting
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
A little plain shooting stuff. Lots of stuff on the screen.
exactly. You're
Alright,
a little plane and
okay.
everything's trying to kill you.
Remake wise, I've got to agree with Cameron. I'd love to see Echo the Dolphin remake.
Yay!
3D shooter, Echo.
It gets a lot of hate these
Give him a
days,
gun.
though, Echo. Echo gets a bit of hate.
I love Echo. I thought I was the only one who loved Echo.
No, I love Echo. I reckon it's a great
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
I did too.
I'm the odd one out. I rage quit on that one.
Come on.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much sums up the podcast. We have come to the end of our questions. I might start here. Cameron, do you have any plans for your YouTube channel coming up that you would like to push? Any videos that you've got coming up?
Absolutely, I'm working on a new film at the moment.
Just a
finished
film,
off my
that's
other
all.
one.
Yeah, just a
I'll
film.
be putting a couple of trailers and a bit of previews on it in the next few weeks. And I'm also on another YouTube channel called My Nickelodeon Collection, where I post videos on that channel I think it's Tuesday and Friday, and with another friend on that channel as well. You definitely should check us out. And
Where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube and Cameron Hons, and on Facebook is the same name, and Twitter, Cameron13H. Give me a follow or find me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also find me on Bandcamp on CameronHons.bandcamp.com.
And can you just do me one quick favour?
Yes.
Can you just yell out to me, please? Thank you, Springfield.
Thank you, Springfield.
Because you look like the Ramones.
Where the hell you on, bastard?
Best line ever. Go to hell, you old bastard.
GameFed, what about yourself?
So I don't know if there's a lot coming up on our actual channel. One of the other members of GameFed, Replenish, does Twitch streams every so often.
Okay.
But you can find us at GameFed Official on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch.
Sweet. I'll put the link up to your YouTube channel in the edit.
Yeah.
But you don't have any immediate videos coming up.
I am hoping to finish editing and fixing up my Spyro playthrough,
Oh, okay.
Nice.
because they're doing the remake and I'd like to get that out before they put the remake up, but I just need some time off damn work.
I'm
We all do.
trying really hard to get the original one of the original programmers from Spyro on the channel as a
That would be
podcast guest.
Ooh.
I'm this close, so we'll see how that
Wow.
Just use your natural charms, mate.
goes. Yeah,
The
good luck
original
with that.
Spyro.
Hey, do you want to talk to him? Hey, I'll do you a favour. I'll bring him down. I'll give him a chat. We'll sit down. We'll have a nice little talk. I'll say, look, this friend of mine, Spacies. You know, you've got to get on his show. It's pretty good. I'm on there, so it can't be half bad.
What about you, Top Loader? Have we got a video coming out sometime this year, or?
Very funny. But yeah, I'm working on my sequel to my TMNT video. I'm working on that now. And I also bought a very, 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 very rare item last month, which I filmed.
Oh.
And I've been doing it in my spare
I
time.
know what
so-
he's talking about. It's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and get that out like quickly because this sequel to the TMT one, it's coming up so good. It just drains all my time. But I'll try and quickly get this other one together because it's a pretty special item, and you pretty much never ever see them in the wild, like in Australia or
Wow.
in lots of places, I think.
I won't spoil the surprise, but I
Give
know
us
what
a
it
spoiler.
is, and guys, you're going to be really enjoying that. So subscribe over to Top Loader's channel. I'll put the link down there below. No other videos coming up. That's about it.
Oh no, I've got other ones. I've been working on a sealed video as well, sealed items video. So that'll be later on after all that. That's my third one in the line, sealed items.
I don't. It's not that I hate sealed games, although I don't see the point. But
I'm gonna get you on the video, so don't panic.
But what I really dislike is when they put the sealed game in a sealed box with a little number on it that says, "Hey, this is 85% riff." Yeah, it's just.
Now I have some of those, but I didn't buy it for that. Just because that was just how it came. I didn't care, but I don't go for the numbers either. I just like to have them nicely in there. It just takes me back to when I went to a shop when I was a kid. I saw it down the shelf. It's like, man, that looks nice, because you're never going to see that again. Once all these boxes get ruined and wrecked, you're never going to see that. And it just takes me back to a time in my life where I see it there on the shelf in the shop, and I'm like, man, that looks nice. To me, it's like artwork. People like artwork, and I like game artwork. That's all it is for me. Now, I also like to say, people buy stamps but never get sent. People buy coins but never get spent. And I gotta say, I also collect coins, so I'm a little bit of a collector in general. So that's all I'll say on the matter for now.
You finished? Yeah.
Okay. You got me started.
And on Since Spacies, I'm going to eventually get to this 1980 My Gaming Since Spacies series. I will get to that eventually. I'm going to continue on with the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection because I want to get that finished so I can start on a Sega Fanboy Takes on NES games. I would like to get that series started eventually. But the big announcement, I've already announced it, but I'll do it again. The next podcast is going to be truly epic. I will have Al Nielsen, who came up with the expression, Genesis does what Nintendo don't. He was the marketing genius at Sega of America that managed to get Sega to, I think they only had like a 15% not even market share, and he was able to market their way to get them to beat Nintendo when Nintendo were at their peak. So that in itself is no small achievement, and that's a total hats off credit to Nintendo and their marketing power. However, having said that, they were doing some things that were a little below the belt in that era. So it was good to see someone come along and take it to them. Also, we've got DJ Slope, who is a big YouTuber, getting bigger. He's a major Sega fanboy, and when I offered him the chance to come on to be on that same podcast, he grabbed the chance. So he's going to be on as a guest as well. And also the one that actually helped me get Al Nielsen to be on the channel, Lizzie the Hedgehog. Now, she made an appearance on the channel, but because of yours truly screwing up that recording, she's having to come back on again and redo it. So she's going to be on. It's going to be at All Sega Fan Fest. It's
you should get one Nintendo fan in there too.
Nah, you can get
just to screw everything up.
I'll bring my hat.
Nintendo did this.
I'll bring Pikachu in. Hey, there you go. Hey, is this the guy who did he put Sonic in the box instead of Altered Beast? Was that his idea? Was this the guy who put Sonic in the box instead of Altered Beast?
No, that would have been Kalinsky. Kalinsky was the one that told Sega of Japan that if you want to beat Nintendo, you have to put Sonic in as the pack-in game. And then the story goes that when that was being put to the board at Sega of Japan, apparently the CEO got up and walked out of the room. He was heard kicking chairs and absolutely having a massive fit. And then this is the stuff of legends. And then he walked back into the room and approached Tom Kalinske and said, I have hired you to do what you feel you must do. I trust you. Do what you have to do.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Like, you think about it, think about it from Sega of Japan's point of view. They came up with this game that they thought was going to be the most killer app and that it was going to sell like gangbusters. And this guy from America comes along and says, yeah, you know that really big game that you've just made? You got to give it away for free.
You know, Seth Rogen wants to make a movie about that called Console Wars.
I would seriously watch that. I would back that.
Yeah.
It's based on a book, I think, and he's trying to get it. I don't know if how it's going, but he's trying to get that made in a movie. Like that whole story you're just saying, plus with the Nintendo as well, like that whole war, that Sega Nintendo war, but specifically with Sega.
Yeah, that'll be good. So you've got Al Nielsen in the meantime coming up with, he came up with Genesis Does What Nintendo Don't, that marketing campaign, which absolutely killed it in America.
Did we get that in Australia, that one? I don't remember that one.
No, we had Joe Mega, and
Who came up with Blast Processing?
Yeah, no, the Australian ad was really good, actually. The launch commercial for the Mega Drive in Australia, I really love that commercial. That's where the mad scientist comes up, at last! And he holds up the Mega Drive, and then it shows a whole stack of launch Mega Drive games for the Australian market.
Nice.
And I
guess Australians don't like the attitude of, like, you know, really up-noting yourself. I guess Australians aren't really like that. Maybe that's why they didn't use that marketing here.
No, they were more sort of going for, this is the biggest thing that you need. This is the most powerful machine that you can get at the moment. They were going for that angle. And they were just going over the fun aspect of it as well. The fact that it was a fun machine to make. It would be really good. I used to be on big talking terms with the marketing manager of Sega Aussie Soft, Steve Hall. And it would be really good to see if he's out there and get him on that podcast. But I've lost touch with him over the years. I mean, you got to remember, it was 1991 when I used to be last speaking with this guy. So that's a lot of.
That's a little while ago. That's when Cameron was born. That's when Cameron was born.
That's when I was born.
He's been growing his hair since then. Look at it. He hasn't had a haircut.
But, so Al Nielsen, he came up with Genesis Does What Nintendo Don't. He also came up with the Sonic Tuesday concept to have a worldwide release for Sonic 2. And he's basically he was working for Sega when Sega were at their top of their game. So it'll be just good to see his background. I've got to come up with some really good questions between now and then to try and milk that podcast for all it's worth.
I'll pass them on to you, my personal views and questions as well.
Yeah.
Why didn't you work for Nintendo?
Maybe I can now.
All right, well, I think that will wrap it up. A big thanks to everyone here for joining me. This has been a really cool little chat. Please subscribe to my channel. I do these podcasts once a month and a whole heap of other random crap in between. So, in the meantime, my name has been Brian and I've been gaming since Spacies. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
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 Since Spacies.